Hello and welcome to my channel. If you've been here before, welcome back. My name is Alfonso Peluso and I'm a Studio Associate Professor in the College of Architecture at IIT, the home of modern architecture, the home of the legendary Mies van der Rohe. I'm also adjunct faculty at Columbia College in Chicago in the Interior Architecture program. Shout out to all of my students. It's that time of year with school starting up. It's going to be a challenging year, and I hope these videos help you get through this challenging year. In Chicago today, it's nice and sunny. I'm doing well. I hope you're all doing well. Today's video is part of a series on Rhino Back to Basics. So we've looked at things like extrude, loft, sweep. Now we're going to look at revolve. So these are some of the most used Rhino commands. I think revolve is underrated actually. I think it's a really great command and we'll look at some good examples of that. Alright, before we jump into the tutorial, make sure you head on over to my YouTube channel. Click on that big red button with the word subscribe. Once you're subscribed, click on the bell and click on all to receive all the notifications of when the videos are coming out. Here's that series I mentioned, starting with Rhino Custom PDF. So I think it's always important to be able to set up a custom paper size. And then extrude, loft, sweep. Today we're going to look at revolve, and then there will be a few more additional videos as a part of this series. Also connect with me on Instagram at my first name Alfonso _ my last name Peluso. Love to hear what you're up to, see what I'm up to with making videos and what my students and I are up to as well. Alright, so in this series I decided to Google search the word architecture, which I had really never done before. And just that search led me to different building types like Frank Gehry, where I could talk about sweep and loft. Today we're talking about revolve, where you can look at Brunelleschi's dome and you could say, yeah, we could revolve that, or MVRDV's interior project. I'm not sure exactly what this one is, but we see here something that we could revolve. Going back to the museum, the London Museum has an interior element that could be revolved. So some things that we can be revolved, some pieces of architecture that could make use of this underused, underrated command revolve. Also, one of my favorite projects is the Reichstag addition by Sir Norman Foster, and we could see that dome here, that glass dome, that could be revolved. The library at the University of Chicago campus, I think this was in the movie Divergent and probably some other commercials as well, that we'll see can also be made by using revolve. Excuse me. And lastly, the St. Louis Planetarium, which I was lucky enough to visit by HOK, has this parabolic form that gets revolved. So we'll look at making those three examples. That should be enough in terms of getting you introduced or getting you more acquainted with the revolve command. Alright, so here you see this is the St. Louis Museum, half of it, and this is the library by Helmut Jahn at University of Chicago. Alright, well let's what else do we have on our outline? So revolve, a revolve needs a curve to revolve, it needs an axis to revolve about. We'll look at offsetting a curve versus offsetting a surface, and then our bonus today will be extract wireframe. So what is a revolve? A revolve takes a curve and revolves the curve around a circular path with a defined center axis. So there's an axis that runs right down the middle here, and that's our axes for both of these. You can draw the axes or you can just snap. Sometimes it's nice to just have the axes drawn so you know what it is. So these were made by the center axis, by a curve being revolved around that center axis. Alright. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and make a new file for us here. We're going to work in small objects inches. I'm going to go ahead and set up my grid. So I'm going to type in DOC, enter, and I'm going to set up so I'm on grid on the left here, and I'm going to use a grid line count of 10 grid lines, 1 inch apart, major grid lines every 5 inches, snap spacing every 1 inch. So 10, 1, 5, and 1. Okay. Alright, so I'm gonna draw basically in a front view, but I'm going to stay in my perspective view. So I'm just going to flip my construction plane to match what would be in my front view. Here's my front view. So I could draw an elevation, and if you want to do that, go on ahead and draw in front view. I'm going to draw in a perspective view, but I'm going to set my grid by typing in C plane and then W for world and then F for front. So that flips my C plane. Okay, so it matches what is in the front viewport. I think it's really important to master using the construction plane. That's why I keep kind of showing you little tidbits of it in each one of these videos. Okay, so let's get our layering going. So I'm going to double click on layer 1. I'm going to rename that curve. That's going to be my current layer. So I'm going to make an axis. I'm just going to draw a line and make an axis. Okay, so that's just so we can see it. That's just going vertically here, a vertical line there. That's going to be my axis. Now I'm going to make my curve to revolve around that axis. So when we were looking at the Reichstag project in Germany by Norman Foster and the library at University of Chicago by Helmut Jahn, those were both using parabolic curves. So I'm going to type in the command parabola. Parabola wants a focus, which is basically a center axis, and then it wants the parabola direction, which I'm going to pick down, I think, in this case. Okay, so there I'm just going to draw one. This is more of the Reichstag more. It's more of that than the library. Okay, and let's go ahead and let's revolve it. So I'm going to select it. I'm going to type in the command revolve. Start of revolve axis. So I'm picking that line that we drew. Okay, I can manually make it like I'm doing right now, or let's try that again. Type in revolve. I'm going to pick the axis. I can pick a point, manually do it like I'm doing it, or from the menu I can tell it to be full circle. Okay, there we go. There's our little dome that we're saying is for the Reichstag. So that's a full revolve. I'm going to go ahead and put this on a surface layer. Okay, I'm going to hide that surface layer. Okay, so let me draw another parabola, something that's looks more like the library project. So this is going to be my parabola focus, and this will be my direction. Okay, so I'm going to make it a little bit more shallow. So notice when I select it, it has a control point up near the top. And because my gumball is turned on in the lower right, because I have gumball turned on, I can select that control point and I can drag it down more like the dome from the library. And I'm going to go ahead and revolve that. Okay, start a revolve is my axis, and then see, I can revolve that. I'm going to revolve it the full circle and put that on my surface layer. Alright, we are just rocking and rolling through these. So we looked at the Reichstag. I'm sure everyone at home is wondering why I keep mispronouncing that, but it is what it is there. And then this is the library by Helmut Jahn at University of Chicago. And now I'm going to take a look at the St. Louis Planetarium. So I have to sketch in this. So this one's a little bit different because if our axis is down the middle, then I have to just sketch in this outside profile. And notice I've been using open curves, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. Alright, so I'm going to sketch this one in. So I'm going to type in interpolate curve. If you guys have been watching this series on Back to the Basics, you know that I love the interpolate curve command. Alright, so I'll start with snapping to the grid, but now I'm going to turn my grid snap off. So it starts with a pretty even like dome form. And it's probably not even that. I don't want to make it too shallow. Alright, so it's something like that. The base is a lot longer. If I move one of these, it's maybe more like that. Okay. Alright, so let's try it. Let's take that and revolve it. Start of my axis, turn my grid snap back on. Alright, so I'm just going to revolve it 180. Alright, so that's half of it, so now that we can see inside of that. Okay, so let's talk about offset curve versus offset surface. So I'm gonna take this and put this on the surface layer. Alright, so let's go back to this first example, this parabola. Now I can offset the curve. Okay, so when you're offsetting curve, it's just the offset command. So I can use the offset command. So I'm just offsetting 0.3 of my unit. Okay, so I'm going to offset that outward. Okay, and I'm going to draw some lines to close this up. Okay, so that's that. I can just take that curve, if I can find it, and just mirror it to the other side using our central axis. And then I use the extend. Okay. Alright, so I'm gonna select these. What's that command to turn them into one polyline? People at home are yelling join. Alright. So joins that 4 curves into one closed curve. Alright, so now let's take this and let's revolve it. Same thing we've been doing. It's going to do this 180. Alright, let's move this off to the side here. Okay, so we see this right now, it's open. Okay, so I can type in the command cap, and if I type in the command what, valid polysurface, closed solid polysurface. Alright, so that's good stuff. Alright, so that's one way to make it a closed solid. That was with offset. Another way to do it is with offset surface. So with offset surface, it's back to the original way that we made it, which is the curve, where it's not a closed shape, it's just a single curve. So let me explode that. Okay, and I'm going to revolve this. Same thing about the central axis. We'll do this 180. Okay. And then we're going to offset surf this time. Offset surf. Okay, offset surf, I can pick a direction. You see those arrows changing, whether it's outward or inward. I'm going to choose this to be, I'll go outward, just like I did. Well, no, I actually go inward, so it matches this one over here. So I'll go inward, 0.3. Solid equal no is the default, so you have to make sure you click on this once so it's solid equal yes. Okay, so that makes it solid all at once. Now, what's the difference? If I select this and type in what, it's still a closed solid poly surface. This one says it has 5 surfaces, so it's a little bit different there. But what I really notice is the way the U and the V curves are set up. Okay, I know I can always rebuild, and if you're watching this series, this beginning series, you will have seen how you can rebuild. Another thing you might be at home saying that's different is the offset. If we look at that at the very bottom. Okay, so 2 different bottom conditions there. Alright, so just kind of looking at both of those. So let's put these both on the surface layer. Alright, what's left? What's left? Let's bring up our little outline here. Okay, so what's left is the bonus extract wireframe. Alright, so let's take a look at that. So I'm gonna go to top view. Just gonna draw a plane. Alright, so there's a plane for us. I'm gonna put that plane on the surface layer. Turn on the surface layer. Okay. So what do I want? What do I want to keep here? Alright, I want to make this plane bigger. So I just turned the points on when I selected that plane, just making it bigger. Okay, scaling it would have been faster. I'm sure someone at home was saying that. Okay. Alright, so here we are. Now, if I'm working in a rendered view, I don't see any of the lines of the object, but for this one it has some really nice ISO curves. So if I go back to shaded, it has these nice ISO curves. See those? I can extract those ISO curves. Now when you extract an ISO curve, okay, so the reason I'm showing us extract wireframe today is because with extract ISO curve, here's extract ISO curve, select the surface, and then you have to manually place with your cursor where those ISO curves are. Okay, well I want the ones that are already there. I just want to extract those, and I would do that with extract wireframe. So extract wireframe, and then I select those, and then those are highlighted. I'm going to put those on a layer, put those on a heavy layer for some heavy lines. Okay, so those are on a heavy layer. Alright, let's go back to rendered. Alright, so I want those to be black lines, and I want them to have a thickness. So I'm gonna change the print color, not the layer color. I'm gonna change the print color to black, and I'm gonna change the print width. I'm gonna go with a 0.35, not very heavy. It's more like a medium. Okay, still not showing up because I need to turn on print display. So type in print display, turn the state to on, click on, enter. Okay, so now those lines are black. Alright, so that's extract wireframe, a little bit about print display. Now, if I use Control P to print. We've been using in this series a 4x10 sheet, so we set up a custom paper size that was 4x10. I will put a link at the end of this video to setting up that custom paper size. I'll put a link to this playlist with all the Back to the Basics videos. One of the things that I had to do here was I can't use vector output. I have to click on raster output because I'm using shades and shadows. Alright. I think that is everything. Alright, my head's going to pop up. Click on my head, which will subscribe to my YouTube channel. Also click on the link to setting up a custom paper size, and also click on the link to the playlist with all the Back to the Basics Rhino Rhino videos. Alright, thanks for tuning in. If you found this video helpful, let me know. Click on the like below. Give me a thumbs up and leave me a comment on why you liked it. I will see you on the next one.